Hello again, salutations. Version 68 has arrived. It will go down in history as that one patch before Songs of 6 leaves early access. I will explain what that means later. First, a few words of wisdom from yours truly. What I've been doing these last patches looked boring on the surface, but in my mind I'm turning a concept into a game. And what is a game, Jake? Let me tell you. It's a matter of opinion, of course, but to me it's very simple. It's a challenge and a prestige. In Mega Man, the challenges are platforms, the bosses, and the prestige is the ending. In Songs of 6, the challenge is obvious, and the prestige is to sit back and look and feel the huge city you create, as you get filled up with Julius Caesar and Alexander the Great vibes. The prestige is good in Songs of 6, it has been for years, but the challenge hasn't really been there, especially if you've been aware of the exploits and optimal meta builds. Now I'm bringing the challenge up to snuff, and I don't want Mega Man here. I don't want the frustration of your thumb slipping and you need to start from the beginning. Instead, I want a gradual increase of difficulty, easy to hard, and basically an endless challenge, an endless prestige. But anyway, let's get down to business. So to start with, events. My friend Vanir has worked hard on improving the event system. We're focusing primarily on a certain kind of events, mainly of optional nature, where you choose to accept a challenge or decline a challenge, and if you accept and if you win, you get a prize. If you don't, you get smited. And then the big thing has been the industries. I try to make every industry equal. They, of course, are dependent on certain circumstances of your game, but in essence they are all equal, which means that there's no best meta build when it comes to industries. And to emphasize this, when you start a game, you basically have the option to do any industry you choose. For instance, you have high fertility and free irrigation by the natural bodies of water, and you also have good deposits when you generate, but they are small. So if you scale up, the prerequisites of your industries becomes more and more apparent. So when you scale up, you need to specialize. And the biggest thing regarding this has been the tech tree to make all the potential bonuses to industries equal. They are equal, but they are also different, so they will depend on the circumstances of your game. I've redone the whole tech tree, as you can see, and it looks a bit prettier, I hope. I divided the laboratory and the library, so now we have two different tech points, one called innovation, the other knowledge, because the multiplying system before was kind of weird. And on top of that, some small changes. Army supply depots now work like trans. This is to simulate some logistical cost to upkeeping your armies. Import depots are pull sources, that's convenient. In 1.0 I'm going to make so that you can only place these trade buildings by the throne or in the vicinity of the throne for them to function, because you can exploit the free logistics you get from trade otherwise. Some hospital changes, straightening things out there. A lot of changes to fertility and water. Fertility is not as important as it once was. Instead, I emphasize irrigation and water, so you need to use that more often. The old awe dread system is scrapped. Instead, each monument has their own aura, which is a lot more versatile, and they can keep track of upgrade and degrade. A nice thing here, employment assignments has gotten a big lift. You have the ability to set a specific group to work in a specific room. Once the regular priorities are met, these will kick in and try to shift around people where you want them to be. Admins are no longer used the way they used to, but I repurposed them. So late game, very late game, you get something called overhead to all your industries, and the only way to combat this overhead is to build admins, basically. And then there are nobles. Nobles aren't done, but the basics are laid out now, I think. Each noble can be assigned to either an industry or as a governor. Once they're assigned, they boost that industry by a specific worker amount. So say one noble boosts 50 workers in an industry. If you choose the governor option, they're going to give you governor points which you use in your kingdom. What this means is that they are equal. You can choose to focus on your kingdom or your city, and the benefit from that is going to be the same. So you no longer have to expand, it's an option. But expansion is going to be maybe a little bit more potent, especially late game. I made it so you quickly get your first nobles. I think I settled on 12 of them, and then you get additional ranks to your nobles to increase their prowess. And then the virus warning has been eliminated, I hope at least. The tutorial has been severely enhanced, it's a lot more user-friendly now. It covers basically the same things, but after you complete it, you should have a self-sustaining colony with an idea of how to grow it. I plan on adding more chapters to the tutorial, which covers industry, trade and battle later on. Regarding battles, I fixed a lot of strange movement when it came to divisions. I have eliminated friendly fire, fortifications are broken differently and the defenders on top get a significant bonus to attack. I've also added a new stance that prevents archers from attempting to move within the range of their targets. They will simply stay put until they can fire. Trees are no longer an obstacle to ranged weapons, but they do decrease damage by a lot. There's still a lot to do here, but I think it works a lot better now. And now for the world map. First of all, there were some oddities with how the road network was generated, so I remade all of that from scratch. It still works more or less like before, but you can establish contact with faraway factions through the old colleague stance. All buildings have been rebalanced and reformed to work with governor points. This means that your max realm size is tied to your nobles, but you decide if you want to build tall or wide. There's a slight advantage to building tall, but species like Garthemi will have problems doing so, and are forced to expand wide. Organization and admin is gone, instead distance is slightly more potent. I have remade how battles are created on the map. It's much harder than it looks, but I have something new that should not create many strange edge cases. For instance, you can defend a city by standing on top of it with an army. You can also choose to assist in battles, it's an option. I've lowered tariffs and tolls on Vanir's insistence. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it will make the game easier. It will also promote specialization a bit more than before. But finally, AI factions. Big changes here. First off, the threat thing has been renamed into rivalry, and it's not actually in the opinion. From now on, there's really no need to have a negative opinion. The opinion modifiers have been cleaned up and streamlined. Your primary source of opinion is emissaries. This means that there's actually a perpetual cost associated with keeping a good relationship with your neighbors. You need an opinion threshold to sign a treaty. If your opinion is too low for your current treaty, you will get a warning in the form of a demand. Each treaty results in different trade tariffs, and the pact treaty allows you to interact and trade with factions beyond. As before, if opinion is less than your new rivalry, then you are at risk of being attacked. Offensive wars are very costly, as your allies will tire of supporting you, including your vassals. Regions and vassals count towards your rivalry. You get penalized bad for failing to protect your vassals. Vassals do not have rivalry, but they will break off if your opinion is too low. Vassal tribute slightly decreased, their armies will attack your enemies though. You get a trespassing penalty from moving armies in unallied territory, and if you have an army in a distant faction's territory, they are allowed to declare war on you. Factions that are at war with you yet can't reach you will continue to be at war with you until you make peace with them. When signing a peace treaty, you sign a peace treaty with all the factions that you are currently at war with. Peace deals are less powerful. To get some cash from it, you seriously need to threaten the AI by having armies in their territory. Raiders may cross through any other faction to attack you, in which case they interact through this faction. If you don't pay up, they will simply reach your border, putting strain on your defenses. Occasionally, they will attack the neighbor himself or herself. If you bully a neighbor and their opinion goes negative, they start poisoning the other faction, eventually starting a war against you. Factions that can't reach you but wants to kill you can give their armies to one of your neighbors that you are at war with. On top of that, we have some new sprites for dirt and blood for portraits, new tutorial cutscenes, a new title icon. I've done countless other things, but they are smaller and you probably will not notice. That's that. Now I'll talk a bit about the future. After nearly 5 years, the next patch will end early access. For me, early access is a label that means some things are missing or a bit broken, features will be added and removed and experimented with based on your input. Early access is like a pre-order for a game with some perks, and one can question the concept of that, but for someone like me, there would be no Songs of 6 without it. So a big thanks to everyone who took a leap of faith with. I hope you have enjoyed the journey. Now though, the fundamental systems are in place. They work, the balance is there, even though it will require possibly years to perfect. The only placeholder feature remaining is nobles. Development will continue after early access. New systems will be added, but they will not be controversial. Things like ports, sieges, pets, races, room, campaigns, etc. are things that add to the game and have no negative side effects. However, these things are plans, they are not promises. If you buy Songs of Six after early access, you should be happy with its current state. I shouldn't tell you that, but you deserve honesty. Most of you anyway. A few other things I want you to be aware of. It has been foretold that there will be a price increase. The idea is to put it at $30 instead of $25. I haven't actually decided on this, but I'm leaning towards it, especially since I've now put the game on sale, which I hadn't planned to do initially. It is also very possible that I team up with someone or something that knows what they're doing, like a publisher. So far I've stayed solo and it has been great for the game, but when it comes to marketing and sales, I could use some help. I promise you though, there will be no cash grabbing DLCs or other shenanigans. This is simply to reach out to a broader audience. And finally, a small tease of the 1.0 patch. Here are some highlights. Water wheels to boost industry, farmstead to boost agriculture, more monuments, more and prettier roads, park room, police building, medical research facility, new compact pasture variation, and meaningful fortifications. Doesn't that sound good? I've saved a lot of low-hanging fruit for this patch because I want it to be a smashing success. I hope to launch this before the summer solstice. For now, I'll work on this patch for a very long time. I want it to be bug-free and I want it to be perfectly balanced. And I hope you enjoy the fruits of my labor and that I'll see you for 1.0. Ta-ta!